Test, test.
Oh, that thing. What does that do? Is that what puts us on camera?
Yeah.
To like rotate?
Yeah.
I know, I seen it the last time and I was like, oh, I'm on the camera. Oh, shit. And then I figured it was that.
Yeah,
I focus on who's talking.
conference room at work, and they're like, well, we didn't get it out. I said, first of all, but on the list, and more importantly, who wants that all in their face?
It's kind of cool though.
I can hear us
talking, so that's great.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Mr. Chris, we good? Okay, thank you, sir. They're not crazy. No, they ain't like that. They ain't like that. Thank you, sir. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Any public comment? Let's the agenda items. Heard. Thank you all for coming out tonight to our agenda review meeting. First, we'll go over items for information. Mr. Regner. Thank you, sir.
Good to see everybody. So there are a series of reports there that you have in the agenda. I'm more than happy to answer any questions regarding those. Just a quick note, where we stand in a budget to actual, our revenues currently we're at 77% of our budget, and our expenses are at about 51% spent at this as of January 31st. Any questions on any of those reports in numbers 1 through 5? Okay. So we put together a preliminary budget presentation for you folks this evening. Keep in mind this information, we are at the very beginning stages or a little bit into the process. Just to give you a little perspective, so Aura Ragazine is one of our managers. She's been highly instrumental in working on the budget as we have begun that process in about mid-January, meeting with department heads, meeting with the leadership of the district to see what 25-26 looks like. And so we are still gathering data. The purpose of this presentation is to just kind of dip our toes in the water, give you an idea of what things are starting to look like. And certainly as we go over the next couple of months, that picture will become more and more clear for us as we get closer to putting a finalized budget before you that you'll be able to discuss and vote on. So Chris has the slides up there. Just going to work through some things here. You might recall that recently, it was in January, that the board voted a resolution, or approved a resolution that we will not raise taxes over the index. You also may recall that in accordance with our financial recovery plan that we potentially will raise taxes to the index. So we are anticipating that as we go through the budget process here. Some other things on the revenue side there, some other bullet points. We're expecting some decent revenues and a Ready to Learn grant and some supplements that come with that. All of our federal funding with regards to ARP, ESSER funds, that is all fully spent. We don't anticipate any more of those funds coming our way. And then our state funding for our basic ed, we anticipate the state is putting out preliminary numbers that we may see an increase of about 800,000. So that's good news for us. On the expense side, we anticipate charter school tuition rates to increase as some of that ESSER funding goes, well, not some, as the ESSER funding goes away, that affects the tuition rates, and we would expect those to go up. Healthcare costs, we're looking at about a 9% increase. And then you'll see that last bullet point there, something we're still getting information regarding, and that is a significant increase in electricity costs. Now, not the, there's a charge on the invoice that is a capacity charge that is subject to that 500% increase. I don't want you to freak out, but we're still working through what that looks like and the impacts here on us here at Sto-Rox. Next slide there. Gets us into the revenues in a little more of a detail here. You can see on the pie chart on the right, kind of the allocation of revenues and how each of those different areas affect us as a whole. Next page gives us comparison year over year. We're looking at an increase preliminarily of a little over 5%. A lot of that is related to the state funds, which I alluded to before. For our real estate tax collections, we bring those in at about 87%, 86, 87%. That has been our historical collection rate. So that's where we'll be projecting again for 25, 26. Go on to your next page there, the revenue changes of note. You can see those are some of the highlights. The top one there, the carryover funds in those are related to a Title IV grant that we have, and we have a couple years to spend that. Some of those funds are actually being spent in the current year in 24, 25. And so we anticipate that the remainder of that grant will be about $700,000, which will be spent in 25, 26. And then that next, the third line down there on the top chart, the $1.7 million, that's the Ready to Learn grant, or the Ready to Learn funds that I spoke about earlier. And you can see there at the very bottom chart, that's our basic ed. You can see that the first number there, the 17 million, the state is saying we may get that amount, but we're being conservative. As of right now, we're being conservative and going with the $16.2 million in our budget. And once again, we anticipate that some of that will become more clear as we head down into the next few months. The next slide or the next page, this may be of I don't know about higher importance, but it may pique our interest a little bit more. And this is our tax revenue, real estate tax revenue. So the index is 6.3% for Sto-Rox, which is about a 1.9 mil increase. So the chart on the left, the bottom portion of that chart, you can see the impact, the annual impact that would have on each household, depending on the assessed value of that home. And we gave you a couple different, 4 different scenarios there. And you can, I guess, do the math for any assessed value in between. But that gives you some idea of the annual impact that our individual taxpayers will bear. We can move on to the next slide, expenses. We do anticipate being able to balance the budget, given our revenues are increasing. We fully anticipate and will strive toward that. As I mentioned before, our benefits are looking to increase about 9%. And keep in mind here, and I think we reiterate this in a slide or two here, but when we project out the salaries and the benefits, there are a couple of different components to that are unknown at this time. Could there be retirements or unfilled positions or things like that that could certainly impact those salary and benefit amounts? And hopefully, once again, that information will come to light as we move forward. The next page is our year-over-year expenditures. Just gives you an idea of the 24-25 budget versus 25-26. And some things that we're projecting there. You can see each, those are kind of the major categories as we look at the budget. That last one, the quote unquote other line, you can see in the 25-26 column, about 5.3 million. Those would be our utilities, maintenance costs, not salary and benefits, but maintenance costs, contracted services, things of that sort. The next page deals with a look at our tuition costs. So as we, that's always a number that is somewhat difficult to predict or to budget for, but we want to be conservative in that. Right now, we're looking in the $12 million range. As I said before, we do anticipate tuition, charter tuition to increase as we go into 25-26. We're still evaluating some of the enrollment numbers and what that looks like, what we anticipate, what the trends are. So once again, as we look at this preliminarily, there's still a lot of decisions to be made and things to be worked through. So last page, just give you a few takeaways. We do anticipate raising real estate taxes, or we're budgeting for that. Obviously, that's your decision, but we're budgeting for a increase up to the index. Do anticipate charter school costs going up. We are looking at contracts that we have with a plethora of people here at the district, what those contracts look like, what the terms of those contracts are. Is there cost savings there that we can work toward? And then finally, like I said before, we anticipate maintaining current staff levels and positions, but there could be changes to that as we get closer to the year. There's always, I should say always, normally there are at least a few retirements that come to light. And that last page there just gives you some contact information. Certainly you're more than happy to reach out to myself or Aura as we work through this process. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or anything that I can assist with at this point in the process. Okay, you guys make it easy on me. Thanks.
It's a little hard to take in sometimes, With that being said, Dr. Rabel, would you mind coming up and just giving us your input about everything and just your input and how you feel about our current state, where we're at, where we're going?
So, yeah, the tax increase is the hard one, right? We've talked about it in the advisory committee meeting. Several of you were in attendance and heard that. I've lived it. I understand that, but there's that piece of the compounding effect that we have to think about. Raise it now and then you continue. Certainly the recovery officer has the option, which was exercised last year, to go less than the index. At this point in time, I'm not prepared to do that. I do recognize that it is an option potentially. It may come down to every other year doing something different. That might make the best sense, but as what Chad pointed out, a couple of things. Most importantly, some of the numbers, we still don't know if they're good numbers. We're still researching, trying to verify even Act 4 that he was just talking about, or Title 4, I'm sorry. I was just writing down a note. We talked about that when I first started in November. Okay, what are the allowable expenses? What can we build to that? We want to make sure, number one, we're compliant, and then compare that with the needs. So still sorting out a whole lot of stuff. So I feel, just even from having been here late November till now, I feel like there's less fog. For me personally, probably for Dr. Sofo as well, and for the district, because we're asking a lot of questions, and I think Chad can verify. I found him with tons of questions, but it's really in the best interest of the district. We have to know exactly where we are. Even with staffing, there's some shifts potentially that would really benefit the students' experience in the classroom, in the school. Looking at the coordinators, what they're being paid. I think I talked about this before, that, some of that money is not sustainable. And if somebody's providing a valuable service, you don't want to cut that service, but we have to find a creative way. We are learning this is not necessarily good news, but it is truthful that some of the reports that were required to be submitted annually have not been submitted. They are being corrected, but those are the types of things that we have to make sure we are absolutely on it. We need to be clean, we need to be tight. We're getting better, but there's still a lot of information to learn and practices to adjust. And it's really hard in recovery, having lived it. You know, you go really, really lean in some departments and in some cases, and then you ask people who are already stressed out, they already have a job description about this big, do one more thing. How good are their eyes going to be in that moment when you're that stressed? And that's one of the reasons somebody like me in this position is here, you know, to be able to pull back, fresh set of eyes, go through, look, ask some questions. And so those are the types of things we're doing. Do I feel like we're in a good place? I feel like I know more about where we are right now. Some things, you know, they're going to be big things to tackle, but at least we can kind of sketch some things out. You know, in the beginning, it just felt like, wow, you know, where are we? And I think we're coming together as a team. And I think that is really, really important. So thank you for the opportunity to give an update.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any questions? Okay, thanks.
And just one more question. If we had you here or solicitor, you also took on the spot, but you're also our tax person, you know. So I'm just gonna ask you, you know, are you seeing like an uptick of actually gathering back taxes from businesses or bigger businesses? You know, what are you seeing on that front?
Hi, everybody. I think I've met everybody. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to meet you. I'm Liz Sattler. Sorry, I'm Liz Sattler. I work with Kelly. She couldn't be here tonight, so she asked me to come in. But I also, at WBK, I run our delinquent tax program. I'm the supervising attorney there, and I also am very involved in the tax assessment world. Every year I come to this board. I haven't been here since last March. It's been a while. But every year I typically would come to the board and ask for authority to file tax assessment appeals, which I will be doing in a couple of months. This year, we file them in the summer in Allegheny County. They moved the dates. I think that the onslaught of refunds is coming to a close. The drop in the common level ratio that went from 87% down to 63, down to 54, then 52.7 is probably going to end up at about 50% for next year. There won't be such a massive rush to file appeals. It's not a huge difference. And we are still recommending, we will still come to you with all new sales and try to recommend filing appeals to get people up to that rate as well to try to offset any losses. And then on the flip side with the delinquent tax collection, I think this past year we collected a little bit less. We were in the high 900s for you guys. The year before it was about 1.2. So you're definitely a spotlight in our office now. Anybody who we collect less for the year before. And sometimes things just happen that you may have like a big commercial property that sells and you get a big chunk of money at once. But I feel like, you know, you guys this is just sort of found money when people don't pay their taxes and then it ends up delinquent and then we collect it. So we are pushing every day to get those people onto payment plans. We are working as well. My office also represents McKeith's Roxborough, and we work as well with them to try to find the landlords, because there are a lot of landlords, out-of-state landlords, and we will go after them and file liens, or excuse me, like try the best we can without filing too many liens to do the collection on the absentee landlord front. Does that answer
Thank you.
your answer? Okay, yeah, and it's really nice to see you all. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Up next, we'll have Dr. Sofo talking about Sto-Rox School District Opportunity Scholarship Tax Credit Program.
Okay, so there's a law that essentially regulates we are considered by test fields performance to be in the bottom 5%. To be in the bottom 5% of school districts in the Commonwealth, we have to send out a letter to all parents saying that they have the right to apply for these opportunity scholarships and to go to either other schools in the district that are higher performing, which in our case is not the case, or to other private schools or other public school districts. So this letter is going to go out next week. Don't want you to be surprised, and it's required by law. Hopefully, within a couple of years, we will not be there. If we're willing to change how we do what we do to improve the quality of education for all of our kids, and to make our schools more caring and safer. Although I would say this, I've been in all the buildings. Do we have incidents of students that could behave better? Sure. Are our kids dangerous? I don't think so. I think if we can build stronger relationships with our youth and their families, that will only improve the lived safety in our buildings. I think one of the detriments, and you don't control it directly, is what is happening out around buildings, and particularly the high school. And you're not directly responsible for that. But when we've met with students, like Students of the Month, and talk about, what are some of their concerns, that comes up. And that's something I think long-term is something we need to look at. Some would say, I worry about walking to school. Some will say, I want to come here because it's close to where it is, but I don't know what's going to happen. Some will say that they know friends and people in their family or in the community that have decided to go to charter schools or private schools because they don't think it's safe in and around the high school. Now, whether that's true or not can be debated, but if you talk to law enforcement and the state crime statistics, the Stowe Township has one of the highest, if not the highest, per capita violent crime rates in the state, higher than Philly. That's not anything that this board is responsible for, but when people hear that, they make some decisions, rightly or wrongly. And I think that's something that we continually need to be aware of. I know there's a community of support around this district that is doing what it can, but we still, that's a factor. And I'm not saying it's a nail in the coffin of the district, but it's something that we have to not only be aware of, but how do we address it so that everybody knows when they come to school, this is a safe haven. When they come to school, there's a certain level of behavior and respect that we expect from everyone. When we come to school, that we understand you may have had a bad day, that you may have come from a place where there might not be enough food, or there was some violence in the neighborhood and you've been traumatized. And when somebody comes up to you and asks you, so where's your assignment? And depending on how we say that, young people may feel a certain kind of way, right? And our reaction might be, well, we're done. Go down to RCC. We've got to figure that out better as a bunch of adults. And I'm not saying we can't, but there's room for improvement there. So I didn't want, so if when this letter goes out, if you get called, what does this mean? I want to make sure that you all get a copy of the letter, but if we're required by law, the state writes it for us. It's not anything that we can vary from. Any questions about that?
Just a comment about that, some things you mentioned. We constantly talk about on this board and over for a good while. And one thing we're not going to do is operate out of fear. So we're going to continue to put things in place to help out, to make sure we're doing what we can for the community, students, staff, the whole nine. But we won't operate out of fear. So we'll make sure that we give everybody what they deserve every single day. Let's move on to D. Date for the Dream Senior High School prom has been moved to May 15th, 2025. And as mentioned earlier in the committee meeting, they would like to have a grand march, bring it back to the auditorium. So they will be doing that as well. Course presentations. First, Mr. Dan Rinkus, AIU Communications presentation for the yearly update.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm looking at Dr. Sofa and he's looking at me because we were both awake at 5 this morning and dealing with that power outage issue. So Chris has got it together. Oh, great. He's got the slide up. Good. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for allowing me to talk about the district's communication efforts. Fix the mic a little bit. So this is a presentation I give every year, but for those of you who are new to the board or to the district, let me run you through a few facts about the AIU if you don't know us already. So if you can go to the next slide, Chris. So the mission and vision, educational community that advocates and advances equitable opportunities for every learner. Through our vision, through equitable access, all learners achieve their full potential, which I know is something you guys can get behind. If we go to the next slide, AIU, one of 29 regional education agencies in Pennsylvania with more than 130 programs for children, adults, and families. You can see them there. ECFCS, which includes Head Start with programming here in the Rocks, the Sto-Rox Family Center at the old Foster Kindergarten building, and Community School West just down the street. That's a division I used to represent for their PR, but have since moved on from. We also have special education schools, professional development, and shared services, which includes Marcom, which is why I'm here. So if we go to the next slide, this is the AIU Marcom team. You know, a long time ago, it used to just be Sarah McLuhan, who's second from right in the front row there. And now there are 17 of us. We're bringing 2 new people on to start Monday after next. So we're growing. And we have Sto-Rox and 13 other school district or intermediate unit clients. So we've been really busy these past couple of years. If you go to the next slide. So we've kind of reorganized a little bit in light of all that growth. Like I mentioned, 17 folks. We all have news or design or administrative backgrounds. I now lead the external team, which directly serves Sto-Rox and 12 other school districts plus BVIU, like I said. We have an internal team led by my colleague Amanda Ritchie. This serves all the internal AIU stuff. It puts out our newsletters. It puts out AIU Connections, which is done twice a year and delivered to this school and all the others in Allegheny County. And we have the creative team, and this is a key part that'll help the district, especially going forward. Sarah McLuhan, my boss, the director of the department, leads this team. We have 2 designers and a multimedia specialist. You may remember the video series we put out in 2023. That was one of those folks. That was our multimedia specialist, Matt. So we put out physical, digital documents, video, a lot of things, and things that have helped this district in the past. If you want to go to the next slide. All right, enough about me and the AIU. What about Sto-Rox? So we continue to serve the district. This is our third school year, and 3.5 years in, delivering information about the district and its programs. We do 3 newsletters per month. We have website articles and updates. We do social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and X, along with YouTube. And we're holding a few other accounts that we don't really activate on. So what do we communicate? Well, we communicate positive stories about the district. No doubt you've seen some of them. I gather information, and also this year using team members to help gather that information when I can't make it over here. Student, staff, and program profiles, recaps of these very board meetings to get information out to the community events with our community partners like Cure Violence and FOR, and then crisis communication information, which includes emergencies and weather impacts and transformer blowouts like this morning. If you'd like to go to the next slide. Yes, so crisis communication. Unfortunately, bad things will happen. It's critical out of a plan and execute it. Our team has developed a crisis communication plan for this purpose. Not only do we use variations of this plan here, but also in all of our other districts. And we always try to communicate what works best. What's the information to get out first? And it's those critical minutes when something happens, whether it's a power outage or an incident of violence inside or outside the school, or you name it. And those first few minutes, communication among staff is critical. And so we keep working on that and use every available option to keep people informed. It's why when there's a phone blast, there's usually an email, a website article, and it's something else behind it. So if you'll go to the next slide. We've had some good success stories this year. I chose a few photos that represent things that have happened. You can see Asia being named principal just recently. A great shot, top middle, that's Tim Liparulo being pied by a student back in November. That was Melissa Myers, by the way, one of my colleagues who caught that photo. We've had donation of instruments right before the holidays, and we've had Cheyenne Ripple being profiled after she won a Teacher of the Year award from the Education Partnership. And we've had Ed Pierce, who's done a great job getting the community together and being an invaluable resource in this district. And we've upped our advertising game. That billboard that you see there, we paid for 2 months of that through the MAR advertising to help with our charter school recruitment. That billboard is still up, by the way. And so we're not getting charged for that. That's just taking the space until someone else decides to buy it. So I can't say that'll happen every time we buy billboard space, but it worked out pretty well, I must say. So we've had some successes this year, especially this school year, really promoting the people and the programs that make Sto-Rox what it is, which is a great school district. If you go to the next slide. So, all right, some cold hard facts. Newsletter engagement, our open rates continue to be very good. The average for these school newsletters is about 33%, about a third of people open them. Among about the 800 subscribers to like the community newsletter that comes out the first Tuesday of every month, it's about 50%. We this month had it at 46. The month before it was at 50. So that's great. People are opening the newsletter and getting information and clicking on the links, which is critical. Social media engagement. When I first started here, we were around 2,600, 2,700 followers on Facebook. We're almost at 3,200. We didn't have an Instagram account. We now have more than 500 followers. We just rolled over, I think, the last week and a half. And then community engagement, Ed Pierce, again, invaluable as a parent community liaison. We profiled him at the beginning of the school year, and he was great. And in the summer and into the fall, he's helped 10 plus students, about a dozen, I think, students return to Sto-Rox and cyber charter schools. It's not a lot, but it is a start. And I think if you treat that as a pilot program and, it's based in what Arcom does for other districts, including Penn Hills, Duquesne, Woodland Hills, Steel Valley. We've done this in other places, and it does work. And I just checked with Ed, actually, it was last week, we were talking at the basketball game, and he said, those kids, all 12 kids that he brought back are still here. So that's a win. And it shows that this program can work if we can get more buy-in. As I mentioned, the billboards, additional advertising and outreach over the summer help show our commitment, and transition management. I know there have been some changes recently, and I've done my best to help keep the district's public profile stable as you guys navigate the changes and come out the other side. So I know we've got more to do in terms of looking for a superintendent, so we'll be behind that process as well. If you go to the next slide, that's pretty much all I have. I've been talking to people, in conversations about this. This will probably be my last full year as a point person for Sto-Rox. As I've told you, I've been promoted, so I'm going to kind of shift back a little bit, but I'll still be around, still helping with crisis communication. And we'll work on a new point person once the school year ends, and especially once you get a new superintendent in here. It'd be good to have a fresh start like I had 3 years ago. So yeah, that's all we have. And if you have any questions, I will gladly take them. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, sure. I'll take a look. Yeah, I mean, and that's the charter recapture. It's one of those things that we were really excited about when we first started. We made presentations in the spring, and we got Ed, and Mr. Hauser and myself worked with him, worked with Tim Messina a little bit. We got kind of down to business, and yes, it's just Ed, but he's done a great job. And he's got his hands in everything in the community. So I think it's a start, and I think we can build on it.
I know we spoke about it before.
Yeah.
Just the videos, again, they were kind of put out, not negatively, but they were put out and kind of forgotten about. Like they were just like, make 4 videos or however many videos we made, and they got put out, and then we just, check that box, right? Are we going to kind of come back around to that and letting the students actually be the ones speaking? Remember talking about this last week?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Question and answer, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Get more student engagement.
Yeah.
On that and tell their stories. You know what I mean? While asking questions, but even we hate to see you go, obviously, right? But some kind of continuity. It's not your job to do this, but some kind of continuity with the kids.
Yeah.
And the department, and then they take in stuff like this. Kind of ahead while being monitored by whoever's here.
Right.
But getting them a whole lot more involved. That way, it's their product.
Yeah.
And when they have their product, it means a little bit more than our product. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
So is there any like foresight into maybe doing some more like updated videos or something like that actually get students to be the ones talking and using their voice about their experience here? And they got a conversation, obviously, but their experience here, and what we're looking for from them.
I think yeah, it's due for a refresh because that was 2023, and I've just in those 2 years having now been in this job a little bit and also having produced other projects, for the AIU and helping with other districts. I feel like I've gotten a better grasp on it now, and now we can be a little more tactical about how we approach those things. So like you said, talking to students and getting their testimonials, getting those clearances and getting them to talk about what they feel is, important about being students here, like, and promoting the district in a way that raises the district's profile. I think it's time to revisit that for sure. So I think, heading into graduation season, if we can get some kids together, we can work on a plan to do a new video series of some kind, whether it's maybe not quite as, it's my news background. When I did those videos, they were very intricate in terms of going in and profiling different departments, and it was good. But I think, like you said, we kind of hit it and then kind of let it go. And now with all the changes, especially personnel wise, with some of the people in those videos, it is time for a refresh. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah.
Exactly what we talked about.
I think the kids have more say these days and where they go to school than their parents sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you have this student showing the kids like why Sto-Rox, and I love like our sports kind of variety and things that could be going much in a better direction. So it would be nice to hear from those kids, have those people talk about those things, why they love it. It's not just we target the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it too, like a lot of kids, they're making decisions, right? I know right now for a fact there's a kid like next year coming to 9th grade. If he stays at this school, kids will flock with him to this school.
Right.
But he's leaving this school and going to a school further out or whatnot, and kids are literally going with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
they're flocking with other students.
I see it all the time with my kids, my boys being like, just going to high school. I see that. My kids don't really work, but their friends, like their friends and other teammates and stuff, like they were just making their own decisions. I'm gonna go to school. It happens. That's
For sure.
at least with the older folks.
Power in their world.
Yeah. And, because we've tried, the first 2023 was a very, wide approach with that. Last year, we focused on kindergarten registration because we had the kindergarten video. And so, yeah, I think, like you said, if we can kind of hit that sweet spot, and it's, other districts I've worked with trying to focus on, especially middle school age, and then trying to get them so that they stay.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm getting
It's a
text.
big deal with middle school.
Yeah.
Where are you going to school, especially athletes? Where are they going to school?
Right.
And I mean, they talk about it, and it's just such a huge deal.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the perfect age to target them.
Yeah.
Why Sto-Rox? Why this school and this school and this school? Come here.
Right. Right.
We're doing better. We're changing this. This is happening. I'm playing this. I'm doing this. We're in this club. It's just. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially
Absolutely.
in our effort to bring kids back.
Yeah.
In our effort to bring kids back, I thought a wasted resource that could be very valuable for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at these numbers on here, right? And see kids leaving, how much it costs. Yeah, we got to do something a little bit different. You know what I mean? So.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
But no fault to you. You're
No,
killing it,
no,
so
yeah.
thank you. You're killing it, dude. I do. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Up next, we're going to have Mr. John McKeever. Will be being hired for a district sub to junior senior high school. I'm not coming on up, sir, to say who you are, where you're from, and why Sto-Rox.
Good to meet everyone. John McKeever. One more time, your
Who
question?
you are, feels like a little about yourself, where you're from, and why Sto-Rox.
Um, quick version, I am a Clarion graduate. I'm a Steel Valley High School graduate. I am a Duquesne Middle School graduate. I'm here because I stopped working at UPMC at a job that I could make sure that I was very secure in, so that I can make sure that my at-risk kids due to divorce were taken care of consistently. And I made sure that that was my goal initially after my divorce, was to make sure that I took care of my kids and I was consistent and present as much as possible. So after making sure that I didn't fail at fatherhood and making sure that I didn't fail my children, I'm at a point now where I have the opportunity to take a breath and do something different. Initially, this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I want to do. And for however my story is, I care too much. Too much for a lot of my peers. That makes people uncomfortable. It either makes them envious, or it makes them suspicious, or it just makes them uncomfortable. Because there are simple truths. Simple truth is these children are always in charge. We were always in charge. When weren't we in charge? We were always in charge as soon as we gave breath to our bodies. Whatever grade we were in, we were in charge. We decided to go along with the program or not go along with the program. These kids are just in a time where they understand that things aren't what they seem, and everything that was preached to us really isn't what it is, even though they said it was. It's really not. And they're figuring it out. And they're taking care of themselves, and they're taking care of each other. And we're a little late to the party, adults. So when we talk about the adults that need to do a better job by the kids, we just need to do a better job by ourselves. We always needed to do a better job by ourselves. We found reasons to not. We found reasons to have a conversation about this person, or push this person aside, or didn't think that was cool, or didn't think that was appropriate. Not for a proper reason, but for CYA. And now we're in a point where we're all bare-assed. So it's either take care of ourselves, take care of these children, or continue to go down the path that we're already on. And I've quietly, personally seen it coming. But I'm in the minority where I'm not really paid attention to too much. But now we're in a place where we definitely all need each other. And there's no more excuses on what we're going to do to pacify whatever powers that be. Because if we don't start taking care of each other, we're not going to have anything. So when you ask me why I'm here, like, that's why I'm here. That's why I've been here. That's why I wanted to be an educator. That's why I wanted to do it when I was 15 years old, sitting in a classroom, not appreciating the way that my teacher was talking to one of my peers, or not talking to one of my peers, or not paying attention to another peer, or giving these peers a lot of attention while not giving these other peers a lot of attention. And I questioned the adults. And I still question the adults. And I cater to kids. I side with kids, and I side with those who don't have, and I side with those who need, because those are the people that really need taken care of. And if you got your stuff together, then you're good. So you can walk on down the street and take care of yourself. But there are those who don't have that opportunity, or are not in the space, and it's not the place that they're in their life, and they need a little bit more. And so I am thankful that I want to supply more. That's just what I want to do. It's not popular. It's had me in a lot of different positions, and it's had different professionals look at me like I'm not a professional. But now we're in a place where everyone's struggling for professionalism, and actually professionalism is in question right now on the grandest scale. So why Sto-Rox is because that gentleman right there seen me and decided he understood who I was. And I'm appreciative when people see me and understand who I am, because it's my job to see everyone, because I'm a teacher. And when they're in my classroom, they don't have a choice. I chose them, so I'm going to give them everything that I have and make sure that they're okay, because that's what it's about. They are my peers. I've never had a classroom where I didn't have a peer. My students are my peers. In a short time goes, space goes, and then all of a sudden they're next to me. They're by my side. They're helping me. They're aiding me. They're working with me. They're my peers. So if we don't treat them like peers, then I don't know what we expect to get. But that has been my philosophy ever since I graduated high school and ever since I tried to enter teaching 20 years ago. And we're not coming back around again. So why Sto-Rox? To help these kids understand that they have a friend in Colin, and they have a peer, and they have someone that respects them and believes in them and is there to encourage them and is there to work with them and is willing to sacrifice for them. So why not Sto-Rox? If you'll have me, that's what I'll do.
Appreciate that. Thank you a lot. Welcome, Mr. Sto-Rox. Welcome to the team that cares too much. We're all passionate about this. So,
Mhm.
I appreciate that
Yep.
too. I can hear it. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. 100%.
Thank you. I never left. I just had to be patient for whatever reason, and I don't question it. I just make sure that I'm prepared and continue to prepare for whatever it is going to be. So I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I had a habit of doing that.
I'm just going to have Dr. Sofo for a superintendent's report.
All right, try to keep you. Thank you. So some of the things we're working on, we're working to complete the 2023-24 teacher and principal evaluations that were left undone. We're preparing for a major Title I monitoring that's happening, that we seem to be in every year because of the turnover. They have some rules, like if your superintendent leaves and your business manager leaves and all the transitions, you automatically are going to get a visit. So we're going to get a big visit probably sometime in April or May, and we need to prepare for that, essentially audit. Our relatively new special ed director, Carly Wise, she's doing a great job. She's working in her first administrative role, and we've been able, with the help of Dr. Rabel, to get her an on-site in the area mentor from the AIU. I'm going to call her Dr. Leanna, but I forget her last name. Todd Lawson. Dr. Lawson is really going to be a help to her in real time, and we've seen already some good things that Carly's trying to do here. Let's see. School calendar. We will send you out a draft school calendar with next week's agenda for your input. We are also going to be sending that out to the union to get their input as well. And just wanted to prepare you for that because we really got to get that nailed down. We're still looking at, and this is sort of tied to it, we moved to a system of meeting state expectations for instruction. Instead of 180 days, you can do it one of two ways. Have 180 days or have 990 hours of instruction at the high school level and 900 hours at the elementary. And what I want, it took us a while to verify this, but I want you to all have a copy. I want you to see what the instructional hours are. And I really don't need one, if we need more around. And it's important. No, this is public knowledge. Why am I showing you this? We've had a lot of bad weather, right? We've missed 4 days. If you take a look at the high school, if we miss another day, we'll need to make it up. However, if you look at the number of instruction hours at the elementary school, we could probably miss another 5 days before it would need to be made up. So I just want to prepare you. I hope it doesn't happen, but if there were another day that we couldn't run high school, we'll probably have to find a day to make that up. So I want you to think about that. If you have some ideas or concerns or things we need to be thinking about, there's no crisis, but I just think as a board, you need to be aware and as we move forward. All right. Some other items, more big picture. And a lot of this is I see is positive and part of the district's future. We're looking to rethink the virtual at Sto-Rox. It's how I want to say this. We've got a little over 60 kids. About 30% of them, 27% have IEPs. We've recently, as far as my understanding, our assistant high school principal has been the coordinator. And that's a lot for her to do besides all of her other duties. So we're going to be proposing a sort of a transfer of a position where the caseloads have changed in special ed, where we think we can, for next year, without increasing the budget, use one of those special ed positions to become the full-time Viking virtual coordinator and special education teacher and meet two needs. So I wanted to put that out there just so if you have some thoughts, if you've heard some things in the community about what is or what not, what is or what isn't happening in the virtual program, we need to hear that to inform how we go about doing that. Junior, senior high start times. One of the big concerns we have here is improving student attendance and asking high school kids to show up at 7:15 when all the research shows you that their brains and body don't really start moving until around 8 o'clock. I think we really need to seriously take a look at starting high school, junior, senior high earlier. So I just want you to know that we're starting to do that work and looking at a start time. I'm just saying hypothetically closer to 8 o'clock than 7:15. We've got to look at impact on busing, impact on the elementary schools and their schedules as far as start time. But that's something we strongly feel, and that's not a feeling. If you look at the research that's out there, one of the things that we're doing to be database, we're asking the IU to do a survey of all the high schools in Allegheny County to see where they're at. So that's, to me, that's part of the recovery plan. Because if we can improve attendance, you come to school more often, the higher probability you're going to learn. Yeah. We also have interest in both buildings to do what at the elementary buildings to do a looping pilot. Looping is essentially a fancy word to say that the same teachers stay with kids for multiple years. All right. At the upper elementary, our principal, Heather Johnston, is working with fourth, fifth, and sixth grade teachers. It looks like we have a math teacher, a reading language arts teacher, a science teacher that will be willing to stay with students for all 3 years. So they would have the same teacher and have that kind of continuity. We're going to be meeting with them because they had some concerns. Can we do looping? And the first question was, what does the union think? We don't want to get in trouble with the union. Well, we've talked to the union, and the union's okay with us taking a look at that kind of pilot, as well as doing a smaller loop at the elementary level with kindergarten teacher taking their kids through first grade, and then second grade teachers taking their kids through third grade. So a 2-year loop. So we'll come back with more details. But again, why are we doing it? Relationships matter. We teach people as much, if not more, than subjects. If we want to build trust, if we want to understand and really see who we're teaching, and also the family, I think we've got to stay with our youngsters. If you ask a sports coach, you want to have a winning team, but 99% of your players you can't have next year, what would they say? So why in our main business, which the models that we've used have come from 1865 Prussia, and we're treating kids like objects, and that system was designed to weed and sort kids. There's no throwaway young person here, and we've got to work on that. So I'm happy to report that. So that's my report for today.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so, board meeting, minutes, do we don't vote at this meeting though, right? So we've got the waive and approve of the minutes from the 23rd, the January 23rd voting minutes are there, and we're going to ask you to waive and accept the reading of the January 7th regular legislative voting meeting minutes. On the financial and business manager, we've got some bills that we're going to be asking you to ratify, as well as the food service list of payments. We are going to ask you to approve a resolution to convert the $2 million empowerment grant we received in January from the general fund to assign a fund balance for capital improvements consistent with the district's financial recovery plan that references the allocation of revenues received beyond what is projected in the recovery plan. So if you have questions about that, let us know, but really that's smart to do. Plus the state essentially says, if you have over a certain amount in your fund balance, you need to designate it. So this is a way to protect that money for specific purposes, as opposed to keeping it in the general fund and the state saying that that's essentially against the law. Okay, go ahead.
Next, we're going to go to item 3, approve Sto-Rox School District to participate in the AIU Gasoline and Diesel Consortium for 2025-2026 school year. Mr. Agnew, do you have anything about this?
I have no comments on it. We've been part of the consortium for a little while, so it's, it's just a, I don't want to say a standard contract, but it's in accordance with our practice.
Yes, sir. Do you have anything for number 4, Wilson?
That just, so right now, as your business office, we do not have access to that PSDLAF account to manage it per the requirements. So that's just giving us that authority to have access to that, similar to what we have with other bank accounts here for the district.
Thank you, sir.
There's a certain part of the bill called capacity. Yeah. We do have a contract where we have a price locked in right now, that I believe goes, I think it's 2 more years, either 1 or 2 more years. So we do have that price locked in. This is kind of outside of the per unit price that we pay for our electricity. Yeah.
Up next, operations, approve the following ABC employees for this school year. Any questions? Number 2, accept the Demon's Truth projects awarded for Elena Hall, Full Stomachs to Fill Potential, Elena Hall, Classroom Essentials, and Alex Zongetti. Headphones, please. Number 3, approve Russell the Vikings for Association for the gym usage at the upper on Saturdays from February 8th to April 10th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And then approve Russell the Vikings request for gym usage at all schools from January 28th to April 10th on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5:30 before basketball league. Number 5, approve agreement with the Emergis Healthcare Staffing Incorporated starting January 15th, 2025. Pay professional services for students served out of district at Pittsburgh Public Schools. Any solicitor review, Dr. Sopo?
There's something that looks a little different here. So we have a special needs student that we've contracted with Pittsburgh Public Schools to go to one of their special schools. And our special ed director of student services, Carly, said, well, I've been told by that school that while we're paying tuition for the child to go there, according to their IEP, they want us to pay for the aid that the child needs directly to this contractor. So I said, well, who's this contractor? Well, this is the contractor that provides aids to every kid in that school. So I want to talk to the solicitor, and I've asked the business office to contact both the people at the school as well as this contractor. Usually, in my experience in 32 years, if I'm sending you to XYZ school, it's one price with everything in it. So I have like a Arsenio Hall moment saying, are they charging us a different rate? Why is this? And it just so happens that our solicitor is also the solicitor of Pittsburgh Public Schools. So hopefully we can take a look under the hood.
Up next, under co-curricular leadership, approve ratify the filter matrix as presented. Any questions? Any comments about any of this stuff on here? Good stuff going on. Mr. Hurd got it again. If they see Miss Duke come back earlier from a trip. Love it. Approve the middle school basketball team that played Western PA March Madness at Alacoco High School on March 15th and March 16th, 2025. Fee for transportation and restoration provided by the Chasing M's Foundation. Approved cooperative sponsorship of sports with Nathaniel Pratt School District during the 2024-2025 school year for spring varsity baseball, pending solicitor review. We'll be waiting for this.
This is the first one that we have. We just want to make sure we got it right. It looks fairly simple and direct. And I'll say this publicly. We're a little concerned about Nazareth, not with this agreement, but we've had a student who transferred to us back in November. They still haven't given us the records. And that's against the law. So I'm asking the solicitor to review it. So maybe we make a phone call and say, we need those records too. Okay, we're going to do it. All right. And they want the team. We want the team. But I want to try to get a little leverage to say, you can't do this because, and essentially what they're saying is we don't let records out until people pay their bills. So we're not going to give them to you. But solicitor, is it true that they should be sending us these records?
Just to clarify, I don't really know the details, but if it's an agreement between the parent and that school that has not been fulfilled, I don't see why that should hold up that student's records being sent to his or her public school where he now attends or
Right.
she now attends.
So, but we're going to get it done. But I want to try to help the child because he's an 11th grader, and we really need to know for graduation purposes that we're scheduling him appropriately.
It does happen. Are we looking at, not to go in that room, is the AD online? Or no? Are we looking at any other partnerships in the near future? I know we tried before and they kind of turned us down. They said, they want us to pretty much, they didn't want to come to our community, but are we trying to partner up with anybody else, for the near future, as far as an effort to bring kids to our area, essentially?
At this point, I'm not aware. I need to talk to Shamar and Mr. Phillips to know. He hasn't brought anything to my direct attention. I know he wants to get some other sports started, and that may require other cooperative agreements like this. I'll check.
Under board policy, approve the second reading of policy 610, purchases subject to bid quotation. Next, under educational leadership, approve, ratify the professional development matrix as presented. Any questions about anything on here? Next, I'll ask our solicitor. You have any comments, man?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, man. And then just a quick committee report. We had the safety and technology meeting today for committee. Really great meeting, a lot of great information, a lot of follow-ups. Make sure that we're making sure that we're checking those boxes and to get things done. For what it's supposed to be done. Actually, you know what I mean. So a lot of going back and saying, hey, double check in. Really big shout out, to our technology director, Mr. Chris, and then all of our admin team came together as well, and they're on the spot about what they need for their buildings and what they're looking at in effort to keep kids safe and then look good and feel good. And when they look good, when they feel good, they learn good. I would like to think so. You know what I mean? So treating them like adults coming into the building and professionals. Um, it's really amazing to hear, what the future looks like for the district. So I'm excited, and a big shout out to the admin for getting together and knocking this stuff out of the park every single time. So thank you all very much. Any other committees have a report? Any committee comments?
I attended the Parkway committee meeting that was this week. There are several of our students that actually met the director's list. The director's list includes they must have an 80% academics, 90% in their program area. They cannot miss more than 2 unexcused days within their 9 weeks. We had 6 students, Thomas Andrews, Shane Davis, Brianna, Jeremy, Isabella Rogers, and Eric L. They should, be very proud to actually meet that list out of 1,400 students. Congratulations.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Any other comments? Any committees? Comments? A good question. Want to ask the admin that are on the line? Yeah, ask them.
When you say uniforms, you mean dress codes?
School uniform.
Dress code.
How they doing?
We need to rethink it. Straight up. We need to rethink it. Say this, I wasn't here, but based upon what I see and how people are talking about it, and most of this has come from kids. All right. I walk in the cafeteria, I talk to people. The idea is definitely needed. How we did it, how quickly we did it, what bases we didn't touch, have made the dress code ineffective in its current form. Do we need a dress code here? Absolutely. Do we need to go back and get the kind of input that builds ownership and buy-in? Absolutely. Now, the second week I was here, there was a table of upperclassmen. They were like, so what do you think of the dress code? I said, you need one. Well, let's take a look at this table. Is he in dress code? No. Is he in dress code? No. Am I in dress code? Well, sort of. So what's the dress code here? So we got to rethink that, and don't take this as disrespect. I understand the urgency in Sto-Rox to do things right away. However, I'm finding that in key things, we've got to learn how to do it the right way, and we've got to revisit that because the idea is needed, absolutely. But we've got to pitch the ball that's fair, that listens to our youth, so that they can hit it out of the park. I know with young people, everybody wants their identity, and a lot of that is through clothes. But we've got to make it such that you can express your identity, but you understand when you come to work, there's a certain lane to be in.
Like get these slacks, collar shirt, but with
Right. Mm-hmm.
no jeans, no.
Right. And I'll give you an example of a dress code that you can take a look at. I'm not saying adopt that one, but to compare and contrast what we have now. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that our kids, if we're going to prepare them for life and career, they need to know that when you go clubbing, you can look a certain way. When you go to work, you need to look a certain way. And to teach that kind of self-awareness, but with flexibility. So I hear you, Director Spriggs, and we're going to revisit that for sure. Well, go ahead.
I agree with that. That it but we had a lot of
No, agreed. No.
I was in high school and we weren't figurative like
Mhm. Right. I'm with you.
So like even with the as you said, they're making because it's not being made. So they're in the cafeteria
Yeah,
without.
that's
So
it.
for me,
Accountability.
I know we don't want to start to go away.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what the best purpose is. We're not enforcing what it is. It's not.
Right. But what you're trying to enforce, you're fighting, you're fighting the wrong battle right now, the way you did it. I'm going,
Can I chime in?
and I,
Can they chime in?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Hi, I'm at home. Hi, everybody. So I am absolutely on both sides of it. And I do agree in terms of the accountability, but also the enforcement. So I'm in the building, right? And I am boots on the ground. And in the beginning of the year, the amount of, and all things are hard at first, but to lose students to their attire and to talk to parents on phones and listen to them crying because they barely got them up and into school. And now I'm calling to send them home because they don't have on a collared shirt. I'm all for dress code. I love the way they look and they feel good and they are so excited when we celebrate them when they look good. I think we just continually press that and push that for next year and celebrate the ones who are doing it right now. But the amount when we talk about accountability on my spirit to send a child home and now they're losing their learning because they didn't get all their laundry done over the weekend or they didn't prioritize getting detergent in time for Monday morning. Whatever the case may be, there are so many barriers already stopping our students from getting into school. I don't want their attire to be the reason that they're like, oh no, I ain't going.
So I won't lie, the military in me is trying to like not to come out. So I'm trying to keep it at bay a little bit because truth be told, you know, I do go back to accountability. And no fault to folks in the building neither, but at the same time, are we correcting some of these actions that are being made? Because some of them are literally deliberate. So some of them parents are talking on social media saying that we're doing this on purpose to be defiant, so that we can change it back next year and then wherever they want. The district, we also spent $10,000 in uniforms to give the kids who were not in code. So I guess I'm a little bit confused right now. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about where all the clothes are at. We spent 10 grand to enforce this, to do this, the whole nine. Yet we're not holding folks accountable, whether it's parents. And I get it. I don't want to lose a kid all day long to a uniform item. At the same time, how many days do we let it go before it just says, you know what, let's just give up, essentially, quote unquote, and let's not do it anymore. And now we're kind of not giving in, because I don't want to say that in a negative, manner, but we're just not saying, you know what, forget about it. Let's just do whatever we want to do now. You know what I mean? And we talk about professionalism. We talk about different things to get kids to look good and feel good in a way, and then some kids from not being bullied, and then some kids, you know what I mean, to just be mindful, of their words, and to look alike as a team. Yet we're saying that we're not going to hold them accountable, so see you later, bye. You know what I mean? And I know we all have a heart. You know what I mean? We all have a heart, and this is also hard work. I understand 100%. At the same time, sometimes that heart can play a little bit of a trick on us because we want to take care of everybody so much, and now we're failing the kid or the other kids by being quote unquote lenient and not holding folks accountable. By no means am I saying kick every kid out of school every single day because of what they're doing, but truth be told, not in uniform, it should even be coming through the doors. You know what I mean? And we spoke about that when this was coming out. We also spoke about if the parents and kids go on the website and buy our gear, then they can wear our gear. They can do certain things. So we're already being lenient as it is. Um, and then I go back to the 10 grand that we spent in uniform items. Where is that at? And why aren't we holding kids accountable? Because this is how we get to where we're at today.
Where we could get a bunch of us go forward and having To kind of discuss it and talk about like what the expectations are, what the barriers are, how we can kind of, I mean, it's really enough. Kind of put something together. That way we can hold people accountable, we can hold kids and parents accountable. We can prepare for the barriers and what situations that might come in, how to like work around that without, turning kids away or something that every single day, but are prepared for the ones who want to just not listen because they think that that's going to be out. I see it all the time. I appreciate having. But we really kind of talk about it and get a plan together for next year. We do have the sharks in there at my job, and I've been thinking this about in the summer. I think in the year, I mean, not just but it was. I think it was a very chaotic year. So, the leadership all switching around at many different times. Probably didn't make it very much easier for them to enforce it as much as it could have been, but whatever happened, and it's over, and now we're gonna kind of focus on how we can do better at everything together. Really, we can get a good plan together.
But from this day forward, what are we doing? Are we not holding folks accountable, or what's going on? You know what I mean?
Can I say something here?
Please.
To what you were saying, it was a lot more than 10,000 because community members, these teachers, I seen them all come out their pockets trying.
Everybody did.
Everybody did, and including me and other people. I won't say their names too, but there's other members of the school, custodians and everything, was washing kids' clothes trying to help. And I agree the uniforms is needed, but I also don't know how do we hold them because we don't want to send nobody home. You don't want to suspend a kid for trying to go against us. What do you suggest that what I mean? What we hold them to?
I mean, I hate to say it, but until we do it, then they will continue to be defiant. They will continue to, I won't say not care because there are, other issues as well that does, prevent it, which is why we went ahead and bought uniforms. People donate uniforms and whatnot. But until we hold folks to a standard, they will continue to push the limit every single day and then get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then by the end of the school year, ain't no uniform.
So I'll say what we're doing right now. You asked the question of what's happening right now or like moving forward. We have started to incentivize those who are doing the right thing because all of the energy and all of the manpower goes towards those doing the wrong things or all of that are being defiant. Sorry. Sorry. So we're planning monthly trips. So, and then our daily announcements. So like we see y'all in dress code, y'all doing y'all thing. It is noted our trip will be the first week of. And so teachers are marking the students who are coming in dress code. I'm gonna mute myself, but we're trying to focus on the students who are doing the right things and are doing it not because it's expected of them. And so that catches fire. So that's how we finish the year, celebrating those who are continually doing the right thing.
And I like that, incentivize and stuff like that as well. But I'm going to go back to our school or uniform policy. What does it say? What does our school uniform policy say? It said that if there are issues, then we need to correct the issues. And right now, it seems like we're not doing that. That's just being honest with you. You know what I mean? It seems like we're not doing that. And it does seem like, again, we wasted a lot of money that we're truthfully told we don't have. You know what I mean? So if we're doing our part on our level to take care of everyone and buying uniforms, spending a buku amount of money and whatnot, the community starts to pour in to the school for the kids and say, you know what, we'll take care of you. Then why are we not holding kids accountable and saying, again, you need to be coming to that door. Don't come to the door. Turn around, go back home. I hate to say it like that, but I'm being honest with you. And maybe it's the military in me, but I'm being real with y'all. Don't come through the door. No.
I have 4 daughters and they all have uniforms and my younger 2 outgrew them immediately. So I had to take them back. I found out that Target and Old Navy, you could take it back, store credit, or get a bigger size, but I'm doing all of that to make sure that they're in uniform. So when my 14-year-old thought she was going out with jeans on, I'm like, no, what's going on? And then she told me that they were able to do that. But for me as a parent, I'm literally trying to make sure that they're in uniform, that they're doing that. But if all parents aren't doing the same thing and everybody's not being held accountable, it's like, okay, so should I just spend my money on regular clothes instead of uniform? Because they can wear it to school, they can wear it outside of school. Right now, I'm buying two different sets of clothes, school and for play or outside of school. So can we kind of keep that in consideration whenever we're thinking about that?
Possibility is. You come up, please. You might come up, but I can hear you.
Ability could be having a uniform or 2 at school. So when you arrive to school, you have it there. And if you need to take a couple minutes to go to the bathroom and change your clothes and put your uniform on, then put it on. It's twofold. Either the kid wants to or the parent is going to have to want to. So if the parent doesn't want to, then what's the kid going to do? Let's be honest. Like if the parent doesn't want to, what choice does the kid have?
We have a $10,000 to $50,000 bulk of clothes in this building that they can use.
So if it's up to them, right? If they're able to and they have all the resources, then they can take care of themselves. But if there's one thing when they go home that stops them from accomplishing their goal, then it's no longer their fault. And then when I say that, I mean you go home. Okay, there's no detergent. The water's off. The washer's broke, or we got to go. Sorry, we had to go, and then we got to go to the laundromat. Thank you, Jesus. I don't even know. We got to go to the laundromat, right? Can't even think about it, but that's normal for them, right? Or we didn't go this week. So now I understand what you're saying. Like I totally understand what you're saying, but you signed up for that, right? You signed up for the military, so you are coming with the intent and pure intention of making sure you're meeting anything put in front of you. Like that's what you came to do. You put your name on the line for that. And some of these kids, they don't have the opportunity. They didn't put their name on anything. They're just trying to get to school and make it through, right? So if they have the proper support, cool. But when they don't, and they do. But listen, where I'm at is I totally respect where you're coming from because it's a level that they need to reach, right? But we are dealing in situations where you're basically looking for an above ground plant when we're dealing with lagoons, like we're dealing with potatoes.
I'm going to repeat this. We have a $10,000 to $15,000. So we did our part.
So then if they have something.
Always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right.
They're going to take it home, and it's a lot on the and then we get another effect. So they tend to do that. For me,
so I mean,
I'm okay with
1,000%. 1,000%.
They didn't provide, but your point, we are in the first year.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not saying maybe. Right.
For sure.
One extra there does.
There's no excuse.
Like you said.
No.
And I agree about like the barriers and everything. perfect. I see all of that. But also, have stuff in meeting tools. If there's a kid that doesn't have perfect or their water,
Right.
somebody's gonna help them.
Right.
Not one, not like an excuse once, maybe twice.
Mhm.
I can't be your excuse every day. That's so much for you.
And so,
I just think it's.
no, and listen, I hear all those things. And so then it just comes down to the group of adults remaining consistent, supremely supportive, but like tirelessly consistent.
And
And
let's be honest, this is what the kids wanted.
Okay,
That's what the kids wanted. You know what I mean? So take that accountability. Last year,
all of them didn't.
wanted. You know what I mean? So
Some
we're not just
wanted.
We're not just forming this that kids don't deal with this.
Mhm.
Some kids wanted it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like some kids wanted it. You know what I mean? Some kids wanted it. It's what they asked for.
Can I say
Gave them
something?
to it and gave a surplus of other items. Points is valid, 100%.
Oh, no, and I understand.
100%.
Mhm.
And I'm empathetic 1000%. At the
Mhm.
same time, it's also a fine line.
I agree.
Between not holding people accountable and being disrespectful.
I agree.
I do feel as though recognizing the children that are in uniform might be a very good start, because then some of those see, well, hey, they're getting to go X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna start wearing that uniform because they notice it. I mean, we know kids are kids. They need to be in a uniform, yes. They need to be accountable, yes, because if that's a rule, that's a rule. So maybe, like I said, maybe just showing them that, hey, we see you. We're going to do this, this, and this. Then others may jump on the bandwagon.
I agree. I love that idea that they're doing with the incentives and stuff. All I know is, Miss Davis, I'll see you in the summer. We're gonna look at these sweatshirts.
And not to alienate, Miss Davis and Miss Schreiber, because essentially, you are the new principal, right? She is the new lonesome assistant principal, right? You know what I mean? So not to alienate this building, but it seems that most of the problems are this building.
I was just gonna
I hate
ask
to say
that. I
problems,
wonder
but
what
most of the issues are this building.
Truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. And I think we really need to make sure that is driven home to these kids, because now I'm at the point now where I'm going to professional places that are supposed to be professional places, and I'm seeing people who are supposed to be dressed professionally, and they have on pajamas, and they have on, like, I'm like, they're working. Like, I literally went to somewhere else and I was like, these people are working. So yeah, we do need to do something about it. And I do think it behooves us to drive it home. And I think the support is warranted. But yeah, I think it's going to take everybody's support, but then that consistent, the adults being consistent, because you can't get tired. So if you get tired, it's over with. Like, but I do
Just a
understand.
quick comment from somebody who's been here for a little bit of time. I can share with everybody that with the current administrative leadership in the district, there is a commitment to really work at changing the culture here. Dress is a part of culture. Culture isn't anything that simply gets changed instantly. It's a work in progress. You have the commitment from the superintendent, also from the building administrators, that this is something that we recognize is important. And as we get through the rest of this year, reflecting on the challenges, the successes, and the failures of the current year will guide what we choose to do, how we choose to do it, so that it benefits our kids, not only in the present, but as they prepare for their future. These are the things that we have in mind. And I think that if from the members of the board, our professional and support staff, and parents, and even students themselves, as you said, some students did ask for this. Not all of them did, and some of them really fought hard and vocally hard against having to do this. But if we collectively work at this and put the right kinds of things in place, and then put the supports to make them work, this will be another success here at Sto-Rox. You can expect this success to happen, but we need to work together and include the voices of kids in doing it the right way at the right time. And that is coming very soon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Are there any other comments related to the agenda? Any public comment? Appreciate the passionate conversation, everybody. If not, our next meeting is going to be next Thursday here at 7 o'clock p.m. in the cafeteria. This time we're going to break for executive session. Go into personnel in the executive session, and we'll not be coming back. Thank you all very much for attending this meeting. We're going to break for executive session. Thank you. We'll stay here now.